I think we can go ahead and get started. Again, I thank you all for joining us at our Zoom meeting today, and we are so excited to have Dr. Jessica Rickert here with us and learn more about her. My name is Sandy Schmidt. I'm the Public Programs Manager here at the Idle-Jork Museum in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I just have a few housekeeping notes before we get started. We would love to see your face. If you would like to show it, you're welcome to turn on your camera. Please do try to keep yourself muted during the presentation. And if you have any questions at all, Dr. Rickert will be able to answer those at the end of the presentation. So just go ahead and slide your questions there into the chat box. We have a couple of, I have a couple of helpers that are going to be going through that chat box, and we'll be able to ask those questions to Dr. Rickert at the end. We are recording this Zoom today, so we are going to close caption it and then put it up on our website at a later date. So if that affects whether or not you would like to be filmed, please do keep that in mind. I think that is about all for our little housekeeping notes. So I now get to introduce Dr. Jessica Rickert. I'd like to introduce Dr. Jessica A. Rickert, DDS. Dr. Rickert has had the honor of speaking for state and national annual sessions, professional conferences, and educational groups, including universities, tribes, and women's groups for over 15 years. She attended the University of Michigan, where she was often the only woman in math and science classes. She went on to be accepted into the dental school and graduate with a Doctor of Dentistry degree, becoming the first female American Indian dentist in the United States. Dr. Rickert is Prairie Band Potawatomi and joining us today from Michigan. So she's going to share her journey and her motivations. Without further ado, Dr. Rickert.
Hey, Zoomers. Raise your right hand and wave at me. Hold it up. Now use your left forefinger to point to just below your right pinky. This is where I live, in the northwest corner of the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Jessica Rickert, and thank you, Sandy, for that lovely introduction. What an honor it is to speak to the distinguished Idle-Jork Museum. In those places, Native people lived 10,000 years ago, when the Potawatomi lived around the southern Great Lakes, along its rivers, streams, and lake shores. Currently, these lands are called Canada, Ohio, Illinois, and Indiana, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, and Michigan. And why is Michigan so named? The Potawatomi called Lake Michigan Michiganog, which means place of the big water in the Algonquin language. We Anishinaabe people feel honored to live here still amongst its great waters. The lakes speak to us. They tell us the story of our awesome Creator. Our Creator's gifts have brought us to this day. The Anishinaabe people believe that the Manitou Islands are where spirits dwell. This is Manitou Passage. In the distance are the Manitou Islands. The Gitche Manitou, or Great Spirit, lives on Manitoulin Island in northern Lake Huron. So say the Ojibwa, Potawatomi, and Odawa. In the early 1800s, a Jesuit priest visited the Potawatomi, and the chief invited him to go fishing at dawn on a beautiful beach. When that priest arrived in the twilight, he had to rub his eyes because he saw that old chief out there on top of the water, jumping up and down and waving. Then the chief ran on top of the water, splish splash, splish splash, splish splash, onto the shore. The priest marveled, "I just saw a miracle." The chief replied, "Oh yes, these waters are a miracle. I'm just glad I know where the rocks are." I am a member of the Prairie Band Potawatomi Nation, and this is my grandmother's tribe. My grandfather is a direct descendant of Ogama Wabamimi, an Ojibwa. The English translation is Chief White Pigeon. The Ojibwa and Potawatomi lived peaceably along the banks of the White Pigeon Creek in southwest Michigan. In 1827, when white settlers arrived there, Chief White Pigeon's clan was generous to them. In 1828, when Ogama Wabamimi walked the Sauk Trail to Detroit to a council fire with the Algonquin Michiganog leaders. The Sauk Trail is now I-94. The speed limit back then was 80 miles per 48 hours. It was a major trail that went through many villages, including the one on White Pigeon Creek. At the Detroit Council, hatred of the white men and their cruelty grew into vengeful curses, and Ogama Wabamimi heard that everyone on the White Pigeon Creek was to be massacred in a surprise attack. So he stole away from the council fires, running westward to rescue his Anishinaabe people in wigwams and the white settlers in nearby cabins. That trail was long, up and down hills with rivers to swim across and marshes to clamber through. He ran, never pausing, never stopping. He reached the creek and warned all that a massacre was imminent. The people scattered deep into the dense forest with any supplies they could carry. They were all saved, but Wabamimi died from exhaustion. Thus departed Wabamimi, Chief White Pigeon, to the land beyond the sunset, to the land of eternal light, to the land of the hereafter, to the Great Spirit who had given him life. This was authored by Minnie Blue Wave. Legend has it he was 30 years old. In 1829, the whites and the Indians marked his grave by planting a poplar tree with the assurance that the spot would be revered in perpetuity. Later, this huge stone was erected over Wabamimi's grave, where it stands to this day. And that is why White Pigeon, Michigan is named for Chief White Pigeon. Wabamimi is still revered there today. But in a cruel, cruel twist, in 1837, the Potawatomi were forced to walk from Western Michigan all the way to Kansas by President Andrew Jackson to live on reservation lands so unlike Michigan. My fifth great-grandmother marched that distance alongside her husband. She was pregnant with her first child. The forced removals to the west brought a myriad of tribes into close proximity. Out west, it would not be unusual for a Potawatomi to marry a Paiute tribal member. Their son could marry into the Chickasaw tribe. That would make the grandchild a full-blooded chicken pot pie. Are there any tribal members here today? We applaud you. My grandfather's family had traveled from Michigan to Kansas to attend a powwow and some weddings. So my grandparents met as young teens on the Kansas reservation. Levi White Pigeon was smitten with Ellen Moore, and he promised to return to bring her back to Michigan. She insisted he wait until she graduated from high school. He rode the family horse to Kansas to marry Ellen. She rode the horse and he walked back to Michigan. And here they are on their 50th wedding anniversary. My grandfather started working as a 10-year-old boy. And after he met my grandmother, he worked several jobs, saving all his money. They purchased a densely wooded lot just south of the Grand River in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They lived in a tent on that property, planning their family farm. On a hilltop, they paced the dimensions of their house. He pounded stakes into the ground at the four corners and tied sturdy rope to make straight lines. He started digging with a shovel and a wheelbarrow, walking that dirt up and out on wooden boards. They did finish that house, and here it is. It's a red brick two-story house with a cinder block basement. They had a hand water pump, a wood-burning stove, and as time marched on, this house has been modernized with electricity, running hot and cold water, coal-fired furnace, and luxury of all luxuries, an indoor bathroom. Their solid, beautiful home still stands proudly today, and my aunts, who were born there, live there still. There were 14 children born there, including 2 who died as infants. The 12 children began working on the farm and homestead as soon as they could walk. They were expected to get paying jobs when they were preteens, also being active in school, at church, and with the Ojibwa tribe. Levi hunted and fished, and Ellen and the children preserved the food, first by drying and smoking, then by canning. They had a family farm on the fertile soil, and the family was never hungry. Levi and Ellen worked in factories, sometimes 2 jobs each, as the city of Wyoming, Michigan grew up around them. But every day they sang, "Rejoice, be glad, blessed are we." This is a purse that my grandparents made for me when I was 10 years old. It is made from the black ash tree. The black ash tree is native to Michigan. They would find just the right black ash trees in the dense forest around them. They cut them down with hand tools and carried them back to their home and stacked them. After the black ash dried, Levi and Ellen and the children would pound the logs and peel off strips of wood along the trunk. These strips of wood were then cut into equal widths. Next, the strips were soaked in tubs of water. The water was dyed with natural colors, ragweed for yellow, choke cherries and strawberries for red, and huckleberries for blue. Sometimes they mixed the colors. The strips were then woven into a beautiful basket, using the colors and twists of the wood for designs. When the baskets dried, they would hold their shape and be very sturdy. Here, I'll show you the inside of my purse with the natural colors on faded. They also made utilitarian black ash baskets and sold them, going from door to door in downtown Grand Rapids, and they sold them at powwows. I hope you have the chance to go to powwows because they are a lot of fun. Do you know how you can tell it's an authentic Indian drum circle? There will be 4 handsome heads and only 40 teeth. Now, I want you to contrast that with the Indiana University Orchestra Quartet, where there will be 4 heads and 112 healthy teeth. Levi and Ellen insisted that the 12 White Pigeon children all graduate from Kelloggsville High School, no exceptions. In the lower row in the middle is my uncle, Jim White Pigeon. Several of their children graduated from college. So what did Levi and Ellen say to their son as he headed to Western Michigan University? "Bye, son." Another son served in the Navy, so he could qualify for the GI Bill and go to college. Did you know American Indians volunteer for the military in greater numbers proportionally than the general population? Let me repeat. American Indians volunteer for the military in greater numbers proportionally than the general population. I am the eldest of 7 children, raised in a small home with 1 bathroom and a party line rotary phone. Does anybody remember those? Well, that was the social media of the day, and we were shocked when our privacy was breached. Oh, come on. Nobody expected confidentiality on a party line. Come on now. Who would expect confidentiality on a Facebook post? I attended public school in Wyoming, Michigan, in a small school district. I enjoyed math and science as a student. Once, we dissected a cat in biology. I brought home the cat's skeleton and glued it back together as a walking feline. My family commented, "Oh, that's just Jessica. Whew, leave her alone." Human anatomy and physiology especially intrigued me. My family doctor encouraged me to consider nursing, and I did spend some hours in his office as he cared for his patients. I peered over his medical books, and he said, Jessica, I think you could be a doctor." Thus, the seed was planted in my tiny preteen brain. "Oh, that's just Jessica. Oh," my family said with a sigh when I started writing Dr. Rickert all over notebook paper. "Just leave her alone." My parents did pile us into the car at the crack of dawn and drove to East Lansing and Ann Arbor to walk around the campuses. We just wandered around, not even knowing what we were looking at on a spring Saturday. I had no idea how to apply to college. I did not even know what college board exams were. When I told my high school counselor I would be a doctor, he swallowed his shock to reply, the University of Michigan has a medical school. You could apply there, Jessica, and good luck." He did walk me through the college board's process. What a surprise to find out that the college boards cost money. I had worked from age 14, and so I paid for them with my own money. I didn't know preparation was advised. My aunt dropped me off at the test center, and I just took the test. The high school counselor then helped me apply to the University of Michigan. I was the only student from Wyoming public schools to be accepted into the University of Michigan that year. And so off to Ann Arbor I went, into the great unknown. Regent scholarships, a National Merit Scholarship, and other scholarships covered the undergraduate expenses. Every summer and holiday I worked. I lived in a co-op house where the young women worked off 1/2 of the housing expenses. The University of Michigan schools had open houses for the undergraduates. I visited the medical, dental, pharmacy, and nursing schools. I was most intrigued by the medical and dental schools, and I returned to visit them. Once, at the dental school, a student was casting a gold crown. I was amazed at this complicated process, and that out of this beautiful, precious metal, a patient could be returned to function and form and health for many years. It is a bioengineering miracle. In the end, I became convinced that dentistry would fit with my future. The dental school's admission office told me about the qualifying dental aptitude test and helped me through the application process. In the 1960s, all the dental professors were white, privileged males. All the professional students were white, privileged males. The University of Michigan, like all universities of that time, was monolithic. Walking into a brand new dental school building In the fall of 1971, there were over 140 white privileged male students in my class, but also 5 women, a smattering of Black students, and several Jewish men. These students became my cohorts, and they are still my friends today. Fascinating was this new world opening up for me. Dental school studies were challenging, difficult, oh, so exhausting. But I did graduate in 1975. I felt so blessed, excited, and relieved. Oh, phew. I spent the next 40 years in private dental practice. Also along the way, I directed the dental clinic at the Children's Aid Society, where I established a preventative dentistry program and an orthodontic service. I served on the board of the Michigan Urban Indian Health Council, and I spearheaded efforts to establish an intertribal dental clinic in Detroit. I did this because I truly believe there is no reason anyone in America today needs to suffer from dental disease. Historically, even the wealthiest people have suffered from dental disease, from George Washington, the English royalty, and way back to King Tut. Daily function and physical health deteriorated because of dental disease. Even today, in many countries, there are deaths resulting from dental disease. But we Americans have access to the best dental care in the entire world and in all of history. So go ahead, everyone. Go ahead and give me that brilliant smile. Are there any dental professionals here today? Raise your right hand, put it up over your shoulder, and pat yourself on the back. Are there any dental students? Pat yourself on the back. Are there any dental assistants, hygienists, faculty? Are there any dental patients here today? Put up your right hand and meet it with your left hand. Let's applaud ourselves. Dentistry is a noble profession, impacting the lives of patients from 2 to 112. Dentistry is a complex combination of science, art, chemistry, and engineering that is ever-changing. And this often includes psychiatry. The feeling of exhilaration and accomplishment I have at the end of a complex case is indescribable. Most working days are delightful, and for the other days, there is support and strength from our dental community. My fellow dentists are smart, talented, decent, honest, and always interesting. And we get to share our professional lives with smart, capable staff who help us achieve our goals. But best of all, every day is different. You never know who will walk through the door. For example, a lovely woman was a patient of mine, the principal of the local school. She was conscientious, intelligent, and compliant. Bonnie never missed a cleaning and checkup appointment, even scheduling it 6 months in advance. On a July Thursday, at about 5 minutes before her appointment, the staff began to wonder where she was. She had confirmed the day before that she'd be there, and she always came 15 minutes early. This was before cell phones, so the front desk called her house, but there was no answer. Suddenly, Bonnie rode her bike up the handicap ramp, jumped off, and burst through the door. Oh, wow. Oh, am I in time? She was in a wet bikini, wearing flip-flops, and a bike helmet. She was covered in sweat and beach sand. As she was escorted down the hall, she explained, "Oh, I fell asleep on the beach. When I glanced at my watch, I had only 10 minutes to get here. So I grabbed my bike, and here I am." The hygienist said, "We're so glad you're here, but you're going to have to take off your bike helmet." I considered posting a sign, no shirt, no shoes, no service. One of the unexpected joys of my dental career is the ability to travel anywhere in the world and connect with people. And I could adjust my schedule fairly easily to spend time with my family. My husband and I have been blessed with 3 fabulous children, 3 wonderful in-law kids, and 11 grandchildren, who, of course, are the most talented, beautiful, musical, gifted, athletic children imaginable. Yes, dentistry has opened many doors for me, but success demands mastering difficult skills. So here goes. I'm going to teach you a difficult skill. Hold your left hand near your right cheek in a little circle. Now position your right hand next to it. Now just move your fingers in a rhythm and blow out a candle. There are sheets of music in front of you. Are you learning to play the flute? We're studying, planning, learning, deciding. Yeah, that's all good. But what do you have to do to play the flute? To master this difficult skill, you must pick up this instrument. You must put the flute to your lips and your fingers on the keys. Then do it. So, how is greatness measured? Let's just say I'm the greatest flautist in the world. The flute is the technology which allows me to vibrate the atoms in this atmosphere to travel through the zoom and hit your tympanic membranes. Impulses go through your auditory canal to the left cerebellum in your brain. Let's suppose I play perfectly for 8 hours a day. Every note is perfect, perfect tone, perfect pitch. Every beat is absolutely correct. The music is perfect. But is it great? Greatness is measured by how we use the gifts and talents our Creator has bestowed on us to benefit others. Let me repeat that. Greatness is measured by how we use the talents our Creator has bestowed on us to benefit others. The only way any musical greatness could be realized is by its impact on you. So my challenge to all of you is to encourage all youngsters in their quest for greatness. Why don't you participate in youth events like the Chicago Public Schools Achievement Celebration for American Indian students? Today's middle school student will be your dentist in 15 years. So talk to the best student you know. Suggest to them they contact their family dentist. And I guarantee you that dentist will take the time to mentor them and answer their questions. I am a longstanding member of the Society of American Indian Dentists. And you are looking at history. Because 62 years ago, there were no American Indian dentists. The first American Indian dentist graduated in 1958. Now remember, American Indian men were given the right to vote in 1924. So 34 years later, Dr. George Blue Spruce graduated. I am the first female American Indian dentist. Today, there are about 300 American Indian dentists. But in order to have parity with the American Indian population, there should be 3,000 American Indian dentists. Let me repeat that. To have parity with the American population, there should be 3,000 American Indian dentists. So I have worked tirelessly to recruit and support American Indian students into dentistry. And there are currently 14 in the United States. This number is lower than in past years, and this number has been going down every year. On your left is Desba Spotted Elk, a pre-dental student. On your lower right is Dr. Nancy Rifle, an American Indian dentist and professor. She is standing with the current American Indian dental students at the University of California in Los Angeles. On the upper right is the youngest American Indian dentist, Dr. Susie Sergi. She is an Alaskan native, standing next to me, the oldest female American Indian dentist. I also helped establish the Dr. George Blue Spruce Scholarship for American Indian dental students with a very generous donation from the Shapki Madebakantan tribe in Minnesota. The University of Nebraska developed the Power of Role Model series for the National Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Educational Program, STEM. And I am featured in the dentistry section. This series is excellent for any and all students, but the Power of Role Models is geared towards American Indian students. It is available for a free download. My book, Exploring Careers in Dentistry, was published by the Rosen Publishing Company in New York. It is available in libraries and schools. The American Dental Association awarded me its Access Award for dental advice columns I wrote for tribal newspapers across the country for 7 years. These were also reprinted for use in tribal dental clinics. Many national journals, magazines, and books have published my articles and reports. Good fortune has allowed me to speak in many venues such as this all across the United States. Dentistry has been extremely good to me. Every morning we sing, rejoice, be glad, blessed are we. I was inducted into the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame to recognize my achievements. The Michigan Women's Hall of Fame showcases the achievements of Michigan women. When I was inducted, there were no living Michigan Indian women in the Hall of Fame. This made me very sad, since there had to have been living, qualified Indian women deserving of this honor. And there were no dentists in the Michigan Women's Hall of Fame, despite the fact that this noble profession is so vital to the health of the people of Michigan. Well, I was thrilled, exhilarated, and humbled when I was notified I had won the award, but sad too, because so many of my relatives are in Kansas and could not attend the induction ceremony. They cannot ever be nominated for this honor because their Michigan ties were forcibly severed. As I stand here, I stand on the shoulders of all who have gone before me. I stand on the shoulders of Ogaba Wabamini. I stand on the shoulders of those who walked the trail of tears. I stand on the shoulders of Levi and Ellen White Pigeon. I stand on the shoulders of my own parents, Carl and Jenny. I am humbled by their courage. Here is my induction speech. This is a fantastic day for Michigan Indian women. The Potawatomi know the circle of life exists. We are all connected here right now in this Zoom, as exhibited by this beautiful Potawatomi basket. As importantly, we are connected to the 7 generations preceding us. It is what they did that brings us here today. And what we do today will have an impact 7 generations hence. What will your impact be? We need to think about that. I believe in the development of American Indian youth, as did my mother and father. Here is how they treated their 3 daughters. Because they listened to her, she knew she had something important to say. Because they believed in her, she believed in herself. Because they said she could do anything, she did. I thank them. As Sitting Bull stated in 1870, let us put our minds and hearts together and see what kind of life we can build for our children. As we go forth from this Zoom, let us recognize Michiganog and its wondrous waters. Remember what the Potawatomi say. Our people are as a great river flowing from forever to forever. The river comes from drops of water, from the skies, from the hills, from the springs. Each individual drop is insignificant, almost nothing. Yet, when they all come together as a river, it cuts a path through anything in its way, even granite. Individuals come into this world like drops at some point, flow along as part of the river for a while, and later leave like fog or haze. A small contribution is made, and the river goes on, and the river goes on. I thank you very much for this opportunity to tell you about the path which has brought me here today.